floored by how much this feels like a perfect segue into the astrology. And that's the funny thing about astrology is it is such a study of humanity and time and history folding and unfolding upon itself, and these themes of isolation and togetherness and vulnerability and courage and finding faith in miracles when the future ahead looks scary and dark are all things that are really speaking in this season. And what you were just saying, Kirsten, really just underscores for me that Imbolc is such a threshold moment. This is why it was considered a greater Sabbat. This is why communities lit the bonfires across the hills to come together, because they recognize the power of right now and that taking inventory, like you said, of the previous year, looking forward of, well, what actually did happen? What is true? Oh, I don't know. So with that, I'm excited to present this as above talk. I am recording this evening, so you will have access to it if you guys visit our blog. I put all of the as aboves there, so you can use the astrology for this season going forward. Within your packet, you also have the transits between now and the next Sabbat. So if you want to add them to your calendar, you'll notice a few eclipses and retrogrades. Whew. And then also, I have a tarot spread that's of the theme of this ritual, as well as the astrology presented here, if you would like to do that on Imbolc, because February 1st, Imbolc this year is a full moon. So I cannot wait to discuss that right now. And part of this evening's activities, you'll be taking home some moon water this evening, so to use for Imbolc. So first, I need to ask, I know we have some Capricorns, but I know we have one Aquarian over here. Do we have any other Aquarians in the audience, in the group, in the practitioners, in the people? Nobody! Shocking! You gotta represent. That's okay. I mean, blessed, happy solar return to all my Capricorns, of course to my Aquarian. And then do we have any Pisces too? Yes. Okay. So early solar return to you, because by the time we reach Astara, it's already Aries season. So, all right, we've arrived at Imbolc. The midpoint is a big one right now this year. Midpoint of the sun's journey through the Saturn-ruled sign of Aquarius. This point in the season reminds us of Bridget tending the fire of the forge, checking whether the flames of creation are still alive, a time of tending the hearth of the community. This flame was never solitary. It was carried, it was looked after together through the long night. And tonight we stand together in that moment. Imbolc this year in 2026 arrives under the Leo full moon at 13 degrees, with the sun at 13 degrees of Aquarius. This opposition carries a particular kind of intimate reflection. This is the only time of the year when the sun, ruler of this Leo full moon, is as far removed from its throne as it can be. It is at home in the sign of Leo. So in Aquarius, it's opposite. It is far away from the moon's ruler at the time of this full moon. In Aquarius, the sun is exile, detached. It can feel alien from itself. And because of that, this full moon can feel isolated and lonely. The moon in Leo, aside from opposing the sun, is largely unaspected. So that means it's not really talking to any of the other planets on the day of this full moon on Imbolc. She stands alone in the sky. And this can create this sensation of sort of watching your life detached, almost from behind glass, like in a zoo. Observing your own existence playing out before you. As the moon is moving through Leo leading up to this full moon, she's going to retrace all the ground that we've covered just in the last couple of weeks from this point. We had all of the planets move out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. By all the planets, I mean personal planets. We had Venus, we had Mercury, we had the Sun, we had the Moon, and we had Mars. And right now, they are all talking to Pluto at the earliest degrees of Aquarius and making their conjunction with him. They're in a very tight formation. This creates an enormous focus of energy, which I think, if we look into the collective, we can see right now playing out for us. So as the moon moves into Leo, into this space, it's going to talk to each one of those planets, sort of as a check-in. Remember, just a few weeks ago, just 1 week ago, she'll retrace the ground that we've covered. So in the last week, all the realizations, the confrontations, the illuminations, whatever shadow work you've been going through, our conversations that Venus has had, our planet of relationships and attraction, Mercury, our planet of communication and thought, Mars, the planet of drive and of action, and the Sun, the luminary that represents our collective soul. All of them have been in conversations with Pluto, Lord of the Underworld, currently in Aquarius, our profound, quiet, slow-moving transformer, unraveling our expectations of what the future was meant to hold. So have you been really living inside of this experience, or has it felt like maybe you were witnessing it play out in front of you, unable to connect to it? Life's drama playing out before you while you struggle to inhabit perhaps even a shell of yourself. That distance can feel unsettling. We may wish to numb ourselves, or like we are numbed to the experience. We may feel empty in this season. Yet, this detachment of Aquarius carries with it a gift. While it may feel tempting to feel the overwhelming alienation from ourselves as proof we do not belong in our own lives, if we can approach it from a different perspective, this alignment offers us a rare opportunity in this full moon to see ourselves, our lives, truly objectively, to surrender the ego just enough to ask, what is really going on here? This is the Aquarian initiation, to step outside of ourselves, to step outside of our comfort, of our experience, of our perspective, and stretch it, find the furthest bounds of it. Not for the purpose of abandoning our soul, but to see the soul's expression more clearly. So if you feel yourself getting stuck in this Leo full moon, stuck in this Aquarian detachment, because it can feel overwhelming, the nihilism may begin to creep in. If we remember that this perspective exists to liberate us from our old repeated stories, then something truly powerful opens up to us. In the midst of this full moon during the Aquarius season, we are witnessing something else rare and meaningful in the sky. Saturn, Aquarius's traditional ruler in the final degrees of Pisces, and Uranus, Aquarius's modern ruler in the final degrees of Taurus, are in a closing sextile. Saturn is coming up to a collaborative aspect with Uranus. These two planets traditionally are ancient rivals. Saturn is memory, structure, boundaries, scaffolding, authority. He looks backward and he says, what has endured? Uranus is awakening, disruption, innovation, the lightning strike of innovation. He looks forward. He says, burn it down. We're not going back. And yet here they are in sextile, collaborating, reaching past their differences to create new relationship. This is a kind of evolution that only comes after long endurance, after grief is felt at the very end of these signs, after discipline responds to the situation at hand, and after the long winter of feeling that we are carrying too much. Saturn at the end of Pisces is asking us, what are you still holding on to that is not meant to come with you into this new story, into this new rebirth? And Uranus answers with the affirmation of you do not need it where you are going. This is a moment of conscious pruning, and it is deeply internal. So here we stand at Imbolc. Are we feeling together, yet feeling alone within the group? Has our isolation brought us desperately in community? The promise of spring now may be beginning to be felt, but winter is not yet over. The fields are still bare. The stores were still rationed. The nights are still cold. Historically, this was a time when villagers relied on one another. No one could survive the winter alone. And that truth is what echoes loudly now. Because this Leo-Aquarius axis being activated on this holiday asks us something very personal. Where do we need to honor our individual sovereignty, our creative fire, our authentic self-expression? And where must we set aside our ego to serve something larger than ourselves? The moon in Leo reminds us, you do matter. I matter. It says, I am special. I am deserving of joy and celebration and creation and life, and my life is sacred. But Aquarius reminds us, we cannot do it alone. So this full moon whispers the hard truth that isolation is not strength, that self-exile is not sovereignty, and to alienate, to ostracize ourselves can lead to damnation. At Imbolc, we invoke Bridget, the keeper of the hearth, the forge fire, the creator, the goddess of the healing waters. She is not the goddess of lone heroes. She's the one who teaches us that fire survives because it is tended, that inspiration lives because it is shared. Every hearth fire was carried from hearth to hearth, and so are we. This is a moment to ask yourself, where have you been trying to do everything yourself? Where have you been enabling others only to be drained further by them? Where do you need to say no, to put up a boundary, to protect, to focus your energy, not out of cruelty, but out of truth? Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is to withdraw our labor so that others may find their own strength. That is also part of Saturn's wisdom, the claiming of authority. I hate to say it, but there are only 50 weeks left in the year. And right now that might feel like a lot. Until you imagine waking up 1 year from now and nothing has changed, and you're living the exact same story. Is that what you want? Saturn in Pisces, still co-present with our collective North Node, our evolutionary growth. It says evolution is not really optional. It just happens, whether you're aware of it or not. But growth will ask something of you. Not to sacrifice for suffering's sake, but for discomfort of going somewhere that you have never gone before. To do that, you can't keep choosing the same comfort, the same pattern, the same story, the same excuse. Some dreams may need to be released to make room for the real new ones, for the real true ones. Some beliefs about yourself are simply outdated. Aquarius offers us one of the greatest gifts of all, which is the outside perspective, but it requires humility. It asks us to be open to feedback without defensiveness, to reach out and ask for an outside opinion, to build accountability, to build community we never thought could exist. This is how new worlds are built. Laying down our arms, choosing vulnerability as strength, collaboration as evolution. Imbolc asks us to remember you were not meant to carry all of this alone. So I encourage you to ask for guidance, to offer a hand, to help build a better world that we all dream of manifesting. The future is not waiting to be imagined, it is waiting to be built. And with that, I wish you a future guided by divine purpose and glory, for you are worthy of that dream you are manifesting, and you are free to build it. Free yourself from the bonds of the past, the path that's truly yours to design. And blessed Imbolc to you.